Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I don't care that her house is bigger and cheaper than mine? My sister 24F and I to 6M grew up in a small town in the Midwest, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone and nothing ever really changes. It was a place where I always felt a little out of place, especially after I got older. The opportunities were limited, especially for someone like me who's disabled. People there tend to stay close to home and keep to their tight-knit communities, but that wasn't what I wanted for myself. Eventually, I ended up feeling like I was being chased out by the lack of prospects and narrow-minded attitudes. I moved a couple of hours away to Chicago, and honestly, it was the best decision I've ever made. I absolutely love living in Chicago. The energy of the city is unbeatable. There are things to do and places to go at all hours of the day, which is such a refreshing change from our hometown where everything shuts down after 7 p.m. Plus, I can actually walk or take public transit to get everywhere I need to go, which is a huge bonus since driving can be a hassle for me. And unlike our hometown, Chicago has plenty of job opportunities for disabled people, which has made my life so much easier and more fulfilling. A few months ago, I decided to buy a house here in Chicago. I found this charming 800-square-foot bungalow in a neighborhood that I just fell in love with. It's cozy, doesn't need any work, and suits my needs perfectly. The price was $220,000, which I think is fair considering the location and how happy I am here. For comparison, my sister bought a 2,400-square-foot house in our hometown last year. It's a much newer house, only about 20 years old, and she got it for $170,000 in our hometown. The house I bought would maybe go for around $80,000, but that's just because the cost of living is so much lower there. My sister's place is nice, but it's in a town that just doesn't have much to offer for young people, especially if you haven't lived there for several generations. Yesterday, my sister decided to make the drive out to see my new house for the first time. This was a big deal because she's always been kind of scared of Chicago. She's always heard horror stories about the city, and she's convinced it's dangerous and chaotic. But I think she was curious after seeing the pictures I sent her. When she arrived, she seemed a bit on edge, looking around nervously as she got out of her car. I gave her a warm welcome, but I could tell she was uncomfortable. She walked through the house, and at first, she seemed to like it, commenting that it was a good starter home. I was taken aback because I planned to live here forever. This isn't just a starter home for me, it's my sanctuary. But as she continued to look around, her tone changed. She started making comments like, "It's barely bigger than a studio apartment." I could tell she wasn't impressed. Then she asked how much I paid for it, so I told her. When she heard the price, she said, I literally paid $50,000 less for something much newer, prettier, and 3 times the size." I just shrugged and said, "Okay, congrats, but I don't care. I'd rather live somewhere I actually want to be, even if it costs more." She didn't take that well at all and accused me of being condescending. She said I was acting like I'm too good for our hometown and that my attitude had changed since I moved away. I really didn't want to argue, so I tried to change the subject and suggested we go for a walk to the KFC a couple of blocks away. I thought maybe getting out and about in the neighborhood might help her see why I love it here so much, but she wasn't having it. She said she'd rather go home and then demanded that I reimburse her for gas since she drove all the way out to see me. It's only a 2-hour drive. She said she had to leave after just half an hour because of my attitude. At that point, I was pretty frustrated. I told her I wasn't going to pay for her gas and that it was her choice to leave so soon. That's when she said, "You've turned into a complete jerk ever since you moved here." I was done with the conversation by then, so I told her to leave if that's how she felt, and she stormed out. Now I'm left feeling pretty conflicted. We usually don't drag our family into our arguments, but she's been telling her friends about what happened, and apparently, they're all saying I'm a jerk who just wanted to make her feel bad. I don't see it that way at all. I was just trying to share my new life with her, but now I'm questioning whether I handled things the right way.